polyandry. Nti sɛ yɛka polygamy ɛne sɛ obi sɛ ɔbarima anaa ɔbaa aware afoforo bi di polygamy no aware na mmom no aware no nya aware a ɛyɛ baakofo nko ano ne no ɛti na mmom no bɛrima no a sɛ bɛrima na or practice in this case here waware oba baako mienu ene ne mmroye so your oba nso a waware bema baako ana mienu ne mmroye.
That's okay. So normally no I am not yet say polygamy now. We hardly hear that of Oyembesiafa were more than one. We normally hear men were more than one. Now we're looking at it from where born there or your bonnet there benin ebawar mawabro kora. Is it sin for a man to have more than one wife?
Okay. So the additional polygamy. So if you ask him, I would prefer we use both the male and the female.
At this point, let's look at the male.
Okay.
I would want us to concentrate more on the male because in our setting, it is quite rare for you to hear that Besia are more than one.
In certain jurisdictions.
In certain jurisdictions, it is there. But I would want us to consider within our jurisdiction. Okay. Even though we are transmitting on the World Wide Web, where a lot more people may also be listening to us. Maybe where they are listening to us from, it is common for a woman to marry more than one man. But in our conversations this evening, let's center more on man against marrying man marrying more than one woman.
Yeah. So speaking from the breaker point of view,
okay,
I believe it is sinful that a man will marry more than one wife.
Oya bonede benin oba obenya yirume bi na na de basa. That's the Bible na say.
Oya bon.
Prove it to us from the Bible that Bible na say. Bible na hemfa ina okay sedu dia there. Oya bonede benin oba ware bi.
All right. So ya can de bibi ye bona. No ochede ade no nyame ni nye ho.
Good.
And until no, you begin our the beginning of marriage in the Bible.
Okay.
In Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2. God created Adam and Eve.
Okay.
One man, one wife. One woman, one husband. And the successions, every person had married one at a point in time.
At a point in time. That's okay.
The case of polygamy, even in the Bible, the first case, a descendant of Cain. Our Bible, no ma yes, they had diverted from the ways of the Lord. So when you look at the descendant of Seth, there wasn't any first case of polygamy. But when it came to the descendant of Cain, that is where we had the first case.
What was the first case? I would want you to give us, that first case. Na Yamba Shazi, because you were saying that polygamy nankasano shase from where Cain now you put in that way. And I don't know the side in Oshazi. So we'll find out whether those who practice that know where you came of one another. So can we look at the first case of polygamy in the Bible?
Yeah. So when you come to the Bible in Genesis chapter 4 and Genesis chapter 5, that is where the Bible narrates the descendants of Cain and then the descendants of Seth.
At that time, Abel was gone.
They were all gone.
Good.
Now, and the Bible no my in senda wa awari edi kanya nipa eware ayerenom mienu no ebaye. But before even I quote it for us to get no. Ubisa say eyebone say obi be ware baako ana mienu.
Nti ekasa sin na cho say eye chiwade we
Awurade eni so.
Oye chiwaze we
Awurade eni so. Okay.
Benyimbo war oye besiafo ebie na na de number.
Yeah. Also in the Bible no you notice say ye kase bibi echiwade a kire say sade no onyankopon ani nye ho. Aya amamfo argue say there are people in the Old Testament patriarchs omo aware mienu ene ne moreye na based on that they use that to argue say because say sankofo no ware mienu ne mroye no enti no nyankopon epene so say bibisa ebekoso. But one thing you should understand, and they say in the Bible we have what we call descriptive and prescriptive events. Inti, if there is narration about obi abrabo or boy, then abrabo no boy ninye abrabo papa, you don't use that to say because it's a Bible.
Who justifies abrabo papa? Who any abrabo any papa? Who justifies?
It is that? God.
Is it okay? Good. So we'll find out God's own opinion on what you are trying to tell us. Any abrabo papa.
Yeah.
But let's look at the first case with respect to polygamy in the scriptures.
When we talk about the descendants of Seth, we'll get Seth, Enos, Canaan, and all those people. Okay. Then when you come to the descendant of Cain, after Cain has killed Abel,
okay,
he had a lot of children, and then it continues from there. For instance, in the Bible, the first case is Lamech. Lamech is the one who had 2 wives. Okay. When you read, that is Genesis chapter 4.
Genesis 4. So you can turn with us to Genesis chapter 4. We're looking at the first case
Lamech
of
took,
polygamy in the scriptures.
Yeah, okay. Lamech took 2 wives.
Genesis chapter 4 verse what?
Genesis chapter 4 verse 19.
Verse 19, okay, so
Lamech took 2 wives.
Okay.
The name of one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah.
Okay.
So this was the first case of polygamy recorded in the Bible. Okay. And this is coming from descendants of Cain.
Okay.
But in Genesis chapter 5, when you look at the descendants of Seth, being the children of God, according to the Bible, there was no case of such nature.
So Cain, you are telling us that Cain is not yet
that is what the Bible narration can say. They were the children of men. In other words, they were disobedient to the details of God. Into Bibiara, one for Nyamene Kwano, Nabra Bono should not be an example for us to follow. Besides, in Genesis 1 and 2, no Bible no children say, when you know Nyame, Obama Beja and Janen and Northern Wakobata, Yere, Hona won't be no. Aya honamba. So the Bible gives a scenario of a 1 man, 1 wife. Until this very case, Lamech,
was the Bible you can say our de Benin Bejaden and the nature one now I clinch to yes. Was it said before we found the
yes please okay, in Genesis chapter 1. Okay. Genesis chapter 1, okay. When God created Adam and Eve. Okay. Genesis chapter 2. Okay. The scenario of marriage, Nyankopon stated that.
Is that but by virtue of that, into now we original record there. And
yeah, no
there more than 1 wife, another than.
And yeah, no, there are a lot of scenarios in the Bible. Emma enonti enye se yebeye bibisa. Yedi kan eno. Oba this first scenario ye can say Lamek worry ye tosumi no. Ebeye a way of life to some people.
Okay.
When you go to the Old Testament, ubenya other people who worry me, like Abraham, like Jacob,
Gideon,
you have even Elkanah, David, Solomon.
That's right.
All the examples were a war home one for worry me, A being one more family, see 1 year. There were challenges, troubles, problems, what have you.
In the case of Abraham, Erica there, when I word the mean, no, Winston 1 year. God used Abraham. Abraham became the father of many nations. Abraham had about 4 wives, according to the stories that we know.
Abraham did not have 4.
How many
Abraham, at a point in time, had married Sarah until the wife recommended for Hagar. So when he took in Hagar, after the encounter and giving birth to Ishmael, later the woman asked Abraham to sack Hagar, which the Bible, the angel, God accepted and asked Abraham to send the lady away.
There are some Bible narrations that also make mention of the fact that even Abraham and Sarah, by the time not Sarah Baboon, Abraham and Sarah were not married. There are some Bible commentary that say so. So
that one is Bible commentary, but the Bible itself, when Abraham had married Sarah.
So we believe that
Abraham married Sarah.
Abraham practiced polygamy.
Polygamy at a point in time.
But
But
God did not say anything about
God
that.
said something.
What did God say?
When Sarah protested, God told Abraham to listen to the wife and let the woman go.
But God did not say that Abraham, because you are married to another warren bishop for being into no be a michiru another or your born woman. God, we've not heard anywhere in the Bible where God or yes so concrete on it today. Michiru our being.
All right.
Abraham and worry being. If you can prove that to us.
All right. All right. In the Bible, God had brought people from their background, molded them and changed them. Abraham, at the time God called him, he called him from an adulterous home.
Okay.
Inti wa kwafo ne free baby a abrabo e wo ho no mo no nyame change he molded him to say obey the figure that he wanted.
At what point?
He walked with God. He saw the ways of God and God directed him. And that is why one oba no enya encounter na ichire no the wife no a protested and Yankopon say let her go.
When God was going to give Sarah a bano, Yankopon didn't is it show Oma wohunde ebo wo babenyi blah blah blah. You understand the scriptures. If God frowns on polygamy, where was God when Sarah was asking Hagar to or Abraham to have something to do with Hagar? Where was God?
God works in mysterious ways, and He acts when He wants to. Coming to Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, and then Matthew chapter 19, verse 3 to 6, Jesus Christ Himself quoted that in the beginning it was not so. Jesus quoting from Genesis chapter 2, said, God asks a man to marry one wife, and the two shall be one flesh.
Jesus quoted from where?
He quoted from Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, to buttress his point. And he said that, or do you, Paul also in 1 Corinthians 6:16 said, do you not know that he who is joined to a prostitute become one body with him? And then the two will become one flesh with him. And the two will become one flesh. But Jesus had used this point at the time Pharisees taught say it's good to, practice polygamy.
With the very Bible verse that you read, there is nothing polygamous about it. Jesus talking about someone marrying a prostitute. How does
No, what I quoted just now wasn't the one that Jesus quoted. It was the Paul's one that I quoted.
So
I quoted Jesus, that is Matthew chapter 19.
What did Jesus say there?
Matthew chapter 19, Matthew 19, verse 3 to 6. When you read Matthew chapter 19, verse 3 to 6,
okay,
it reads, the Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? Okay. And he answered and said unto them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?
Good.
And said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and the twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God had joined together, let no man put asunder. So they are gone to Jesus asking for divorce issue. But Jesus used that one to address the issue of divorce and the issue of polygamy.
How? Because in this very Bible verse that you read to us,
yes,
there is nothing polygamy stated
there
here.
is.
God, Jesus Christ talking about man living with a woman, becoming one. Understand? And also talked about the fact that what the Lord has put together, no man should put asunder. How do you relate this to polygamy?
The issue itself initially was an issue, or they had about divorce. By in answering, yes, what you say, from the beginning, the one who created marriage created one man, one wife, and when they marry, the two become one. Now, coming back to it being sinful or not, in the book of Exodus, in the 10 Commandments, Nyankopon emma etiase ese. Enise yenibre ye nyankoyire. Exodus chapter 20. Emma weni mere onyankoyire ana onyonko ekunu ana nakoa ene nafuna. In other words, when one is married, enise awofo obi ni kunu ana ne yire. Ede ya wo dia. So anyone, whether a man or a woman who attaches himself to another man's wife or a woman's husband, you have converted, and it's sinful.
Ejedu. All right, so Ejedu has also joined us this evening on the show. We'll put your one comments and Brad. Now, one questions that is also one from Brad. Yes, share or polygamy. In Tindano, you're from Benina or a word do yatas the polygamy, or a unisex man Canada, Bissafa one word do in the main power. But this evening, we are just restricting ourselves to in Besia far war in Besia for the Dominion for Daniel Absho Kuma and a Yajin Como in a Asopene Jedu so about Becamo. Over say.
Oh, Radiadum. I'm back on swear.
The
Radias.
Last week now I am so and I had to say about Bishia that said now we didn't community. I remember we changed briefly. Mate. Let me go to us for quickly now. Remember. So let's look at it. Azanya Koponsi Uchi. What you say, man? Azanya Koponsi Uchi. All these men, Anya Kopon use someone mightily. We've mentioned that of Abraham. We've mentioned that of Jacob, who became Israel. We've mentioned David. We've mentioned Samson. We've mentioned Gideon. We've mentioned quite a number of them. You see all these people mighty. In no way did we hear that God spoke against Wanawar.
All right.
So are we not just, trying to deny men of some joy? Okay. Next day, God was okay with them.
All right. I'm saying, in the Bible, you what we call the descriptive and the prescriptive. Say, you describe Bibia And just idea ya can want something in papa.
But God haven't said anywhere in the scriptures that I hated them or I did not like the fact that they married.
God did not say he hated them.
Okay.
But all the instances are all cited. No? You notice that because of Omawa there was a problem with the family. And even up till now, some of them have a problem between nations because of our redodua omukoi, In the case of Abraham, it is clear between the Jews and the.
So,
in the case of Jacob, in the case of Jacob, because of our redodua no okoye, to the extent even brothers putting their brother to a pit, selling him, even at a point in time wanted to kill him.
Is that not his own fault by not being that responsible father? Because with what you're saying, you almost saw Warren Coco, one of the problems, boy, I can't say one hour,
exactly. But you are looking at the issue, wash it, one a polygamous by nature, no, but one share, one omono so abrabomono. Oman call that we see no mabrabo is successful. You notice even the case of David. Onwa ni yefunumu masori tia no ene ne yerenom die. In the cases who scientists sank of one in Yame 19 nyina no. Nyame am I the year and say na what the my and say one of that line of marriage mono at the end of the day no amwa.
Okay.
Eba won fie gijai.
Okay.
Eba ye problem any ade so a.
Okay.
But one omo call solo no. Eba ye successful na boa won. Awo abrabom. Of course one or two be might not work well. But generally no. The nyame a prescribe no. E better saying say o wa fa.
Okay.
One thing you should understand they say most often now o kasa na o kasa polygamy no ebe man menyufo ani age, but you know say polygamy rather no cause some men not being able to marry, because generally the rich, the affluent will get more to marry.
Don't you think it depends?
Living a lot of men not marrying. And you know, so worldwide we have more male population than female.
We'll come to that.
So if you allow more men to marry more women, and the rich, the affluent, will go by marrying her, you are denying one who need that richness,
So that in itself cannot be said say bonny.
That in itself is greedy not sinful? Is greedy not sinful?
Point of view.
Is greediness not sinful?
How does that?
How
can you relate that?
Selfishness.
And I have money and I want to marry more than one. How am I selfish?
At the detriment of others. That is why in the case of David.
So why don't they also work hard to make money and marry more?
And you'll be that richness. That is why in the case of David, Okofa Uriah's wife, when Nathan came, Omano a year aware say, Obini de Bakope. So this issue should let you understand, say, the fact that war sika now look me a worry more no does not mean say koko worry more.
Are we looking at it? Again, remember what Jesus said, are we looking at it from a moral point of view, economic point of view, or nyankopo enisono or see michi our
nyankopo enisono
or can it pain say michiri our jaye? But God did not say michiri bema wawarin mami no anami answer. There is no way in the Bible unless you prove that.
And when I michiro say Yesu answer that question of our jaye no or say musuba inti enema David so bi we man no aware jaye nwoma be fiti ase na ntisa obema ba ko ni oba na obo won. In the marriage is meant to say one man one wife.
God was with all these people. He had big, beautiful encounter with them. He spoke to them. We read it. God said this to them. God. So if God hated man marrying more than one wife, why was God so silent on it? That in none of the cases did he say anything to any of these men or Arabian. Why was God silent on it?
ena me ema wati asese nipa no a nyame di won ye ejuma no offer him from somewhere
Okay.
Omo background
Okay.
Omo challenges
Okay.
Omo weakness
Okay.
and omo do one to become better. You know say in the when you read First Kings chapter 15 verse 5, the Bible says categorically say apart from the sin of Uriah's wife, David never sinned against God. Enti Uriah yire no David koko fa no a oye we no say David abra Nathan ko yi ni nten no a neni eba ne ho so no se ma ye bone ma ye jejentwi sem medisa nsem huni no David decided so obobo brapa obey so to the extent say even crying old age grandpa no yesan come na bayiwa no Bible no di one say he never touched the lady and no
but at that time then that David baby I would
he would have still but then been more than the age of David are going in for more but the issue and they say now when you when I'm someone could do say well who know what is right what is wrong and you know he didn't want to go back to old age Solomon cry or worry a man a handsome and then for 700 you know coming back to Ecclesiastes and it says all is vanity because he has tasted and he realizes say nina idea and say what God has said no is right.
I'll come back to you. And then there's your white you.
And then 13 Sabbath.
Oh, that's okay. I missed church today. I missed church today.
Okay.
No. And you know, our we are polygamy. Bema worried on the wall. Na minimum stance on that. It's you know, my NT also stands. Whether we feel say a idea nye, and you know, see so, and ask what the only one body be our home.
Yo kojo meda wase mse mo hyase na mini ha na me fa kwanya yi achia atifo ne ahwefo a ehwe nyina minim de pastor ejina de na mmom me de aware
pastor ejina say be nyamichi say be ma be ware ana so oba be ware
ma bro baako okay mi mom de mi hu se enye mfomso se wo ware ma eboro baako a why bone because okotro no mu a na me hwe bibi ewo Genesis say 9 or so baby a onyankopon etoja ana am say baby a onyame etoja edigu Sodom and Gomorrah Mintini tronum be bia se obi aware dodo na nyame atwena so. Na pastor can be about Solomon. Solomon nya aware dodo na nyame ebia odi free nyame achi. Abosun huhu a ogodi n'achi, ogodi achi. David wanware ba kope. Sankofu nyina God kept silence there. One can be beer and fahon.
Jacob did the same thing.
Jacob
cried
there. Nanka ope in name mabakwa seven nanka ope Rahel. Ona no dono pa. But amamre mono according to know of Laban. Baby I call medians I say o say there be se penny no worry ya. Enunti o ka say na e bone a do e be ka say ofa no e bia na onim nyame Jacob na jamom na nim nyame e Isaac na so ni nyina mu no ye de say na ono so ne ye de entete atete na ofie ye ka say ye de Rahel be ka no ho bio no onsom fie nson no say ko e mfomso a encourage
e no kra de enuanom
ni nyina achi sopa e na Bilha e mfna e som sa enuanom mienu yi o sa de kan ho Nyame anka hwe.
Job worry say.
What say?
Job worry say.
One.
Job dem nim say na here ba ko ne mamom na me doso.
Okay.
Na bebre penifo bebre.
Easy. Or trinini. Yes, the Bible specifically says so. Or your trinini.
God never said Abraham in your trinini. God never said Jacob in your trinini.
Na me
God never said Gideon in your trinini.
Koyo bibia kra nyen said David. So when your brain no akenkan 1 Kings chapter 3. Na o kind story ho bra ye de Solomon esi ade so as a king obesi ne papa anamu. Na okọ Gibeon say okọbọ empire no say first ahuyi a onyame yi ne ho kire no da esum na Gibeon. Na making kan ho a che say eye manika keke na me say Sir David de oye nyina chi na say your friend saying King Solomon etimi tontom ne papa ekire onyankopon say woni onyankopon nante kwampa so ne yi a wo bra na ne yerenom eboro baako ni nyina chi kura de ye hwe yura de kura eno dem se nyame twen na so kakra wo ho de.
Because when you listen to some people, I'm saying, because of what he did by killing the man.
Nanso na why do nyame anka hwe amfa ho ye ntire King Solomon e ka bra nyankopon ka kire King Solomon say wo misa de o hwe no mo say ye nyina ma wakwa say ya no bi say o Solomon e ka say radi ma nyansa da bi so mo misa nyame nyansa obisa nyame ho nim so o mani hurumu ene ntiase a obede o de bebu Israel sanse na intentia ne nema bia na ekoso no so nyame na ni ku emobrofo ne nyanka ne ekunafo ne yi ho na eho na King Solomon ntiase mo ka kire onyankopon o se wona wo ye wakoa Major David adoye kese said your nanti wanim nokra ene trene emu ene wo ho akomam tiye mu na wode adoye kese yi asie amano na wama no oba oti na dwasoro said ye etie nei a ono King Solomon wabeye ohene tio onanti na nyamenim tiye mu
in spite of a mad
na yerem ne yesey won nye ba ko pe enye ayi mizum ni ba no nko a o ware bebre but wo so nanti nyamenim tiye mu
nyame akasa kraka say he's a man after his heart
sa but nei eso ware mebro ba ko a enye
the true sign.
Okay, o the Emra New Testament okay kind
so the one we come you also have your view on
okay kind ye nia ye di mo o de Yesu breso said the osomafo no etwero ye no okay kind wo 1 Timothy esu a efata Christopher sofo
okay
na che say ne ekwe de em say bia pastor mo na be kwa ma won because of many leaders na mom ye ebedi achirefo edi ekwa wo ho am fi say nya funso bia entie wo se no kwasem nie se obi epe hwefo dwuma wa pa dwuma pa enso de ese ohwefo ne se wonya ne ho asem bi enka oyere ba akukunu ese se oyehwefo ese se onya oyere ba sofo no na ka kwadoti we de nanka onye sofo die bro ba ko a kanfu so bi eni ho kanfu so bi eni ho
adafu bi anose opeso kodu sofo na ye shas ye say ye kinkan de wo say sofo ye no mi ade anose we de meta manage so
mi ana me kanzo me boa
bajo amza so penyi kinkan quotation bi
okay
na quotation na o kinkan no wanye careful over chirasiye ama akoye different thing altogether.
Okay, so let's go into it.
I think 1 Timothy chapter 3.
Yeah.
And and then in titles chapter 1 so.
Okay.
In the case of we say this oko Bible no. Na hwe kasa Paul eyusu no a. Oyusu hela kasa.
Okay.
Na hela kasa no oyusu ye no. Oyusu word be say mias gonakos Andrea. Sakasa no yusu ye ne so ochire mu e wankyere ase miensa. Dedi kan no e kire se one wife man. Sa one wife man no e prohibition say ontumi nware mienu ene ne moroye. The same ade no okai wo no
man for everybody or for those
no or describe one mo yakendi for no. And was say a wife man. The same word no will mean a wife man, which also means say elders are to be married. There should be somebody aware. So it's not necessarily say why you back and ekunu back. The statement na no, but I say we obi a waware. The same statement.
You can have more than one.
No, what that word now we use no. Ninja say no. First one no, and I'm say a prohibition, meaning no. The same word no essentially say requiring elders to be married into you be a elder, and so you be a waware.
Okay.
The same word no say show first wife man. And on see you are not supposed to divorce. Inti no say word now we use no because no teacher say o ya so mpanyimfo de an de o de wontumi nware mo na mmom so onya so repanyi a obetumi aware mo. That is not what Paul was trying to say. But na Paul person o kire say you so kendifo a ese o ye obi a waware o ye obi a unya oba a waware no uyo obi a onkosesa won fa won emmo so eno nti no se asafoma no nyina aware mo hwanom no mba be ya so mpanifo
we pastor membrem gata
if asafoma no nyina aware mo ye wa so panyi baako a one de o one pe na asafoma no nyina de o mo ho kwan so mo ware mo a se asopanyi ni ni ho na waka ba bia hwan eno ba ya so pe
wa wo pese wo ya so repenny wo ni ni so ware you
na inti
sorry penny mempe
inti de ye na so penny no wewu inti ye nyina ya ka ni nyina so ya ware.
You knew within your heart that you would want to be a pastor.
And ya ka ni nyina ya ware mienu because na ye mpese ye be ya so penny.
What I'm trying to say is that you knew in your heart so person yes so for inti wo bo wo bra say obey sofo. It is a main so in my heart no me person me ya sorry penny in there and ya na me nkoware mi no said ye be ya so sorry penny bi ni wonu a metimi aba be shana na in person me person me ya sorry penny in there and ye said me won kwan say. But do you now agree to what he's saying say with what Paul said with regards to one man one wife? He was referring to leaders of the church but not the entire congregation.
No address the leaders of the church and them just say so word no use you no. It wasn't necessarily say oh ya soro penyina o ware one man one wife. Okay. But it also means say and so you be a ware.
So Paul himself did not condemn polygamy.
No, here he was not even talking about it.
Is there in the way in the Bible that Paul condemned polygamy?
Oh, there are.
Okay, so if you can help us.
There are. Okay.
Mimi sa yi kakra. Dia o kan madwunu ye me na kakra. Paul oko asafunum okoti asafuna o da na kiraba nse odi ja Timothy no ware no ye babunu but edi asafunu ja no as an elder enti omuka se obi nware na odimi nye hwefo a se de oka se language no se de e kiremu ko isa no so nenti ase
dem kiremu no want ase they say first one here e was say oye obi a waware a oye obi a oye first wife man. In other words, you know, only aware ahodo. You get it? And so you obi a onye we say ontumi nja na yire.
So Paul agreed to the fact that
ontumi nja na
yire more than one, more than two. But when you're sure for there, then you should have
there were
what you're explaining to us, that seems to be the meaning.
There were scenarios in the environment ebinumu ewo mienu ana miensa na say yes sinful, and that is why the Bible addresses the case of adultery and fornication.
No when they oba won ware no
oni oba na won ware no da and fornication. Oni oberima wa ware na oba wa ware enya ngita ho a adultery. And this a won ware
when obema no mba mbe ye wo ho ade as a wife.
Inti se won ware na wo san kofo oba afofra Bible no say won ne wo yire no mienu no amaware no mu mienu no you don't have control over your body. That is what the Bible says. And oba no so need control over the body. It is a member need control over the body, no oba need control over the body. Untumi mfa wo body no nkoye de wa open san ko ware another one mmeka ho. You are born against. And no Bible no say in Exodus chapter 20 no ye command na Nyankopon dia man no o ma ye ti ase say ema weni mmere wo nyonko yire nti wonso a obi wo kunu ana obi wo ayire no sa wo kwa attach wo to that person what go against the laws of God and it's sinful.
Where was God in all these that you have said? Beautiful. But where was God in the case of David? Where was God in the case of Jacob? Where was God in the case of Samson? Where was God in the case of Solomon? So when now God did not say anything. And that is where most of us are confused.
Okay,
because God kept silent. And then again, say me more baby, my worry. Na me more ba, ejedu. Na ma fana kofi ankoye ne ho ade. Na me ne koda. Say what asaba tomra. Na se me ne kofi ankoye ne ho ade. Na me ne betena ka me yere ho de a. Say can you mean tomra na say.
Na say wo betimi ahwe ne yie nko ade.
Yeah. And until a polygamy at a point in time is described as glorify idolatry.
In the Bible?
We are speaking as Christians.
Okay.
Our reseya ye franontoma ye mani ni onyam nyame se men sa aware oso em de mekwa kwaye no ho ade na me na kameyere ho na je se maye no ho ade what sa aware no in a manner to end the metua no ho sikani ade nti no ekwan so Bible aware say ye no eye se wa ware no unkofa bi mmeka de wo no ho
ose ade e betimi agina so de egu awade ye
edwamammo
basa me koyo oba de ho ade na me wae ne de asa de me
what bedwama in the sense the Bible no say oberima ni control woni ni pedua so oba ni control woni ni pedua so mumienu no you are not of yourselves and you decide say me wo sika ntimi me ko ware oba afoforo na me wo sika ntimi ko ware be ma afoforo. This time, no, you want to take control of yourself against the wish of your spouse.
Okay. I'm said, yeah, so for okay. Me mum dear, me nya quotation be our Bible, no, my kind Bible kakra, me kind in idea, but me who baby our young couple see so dear, say, our aim you know, and I dear bro back on. Bonnie said the Eddie can't boss that day. Abraham, on put there, Rebecca say, Abia, or why Sarah, no, Sarah, we. Sarah, who grant a coffee, Higa. And I didn't man, no, a Bonia, second Yame, bra, Sarah can't say the cherry Abraham, no. Can you obey where the actual because Bible makes us say, no, Abraham, when you go down for pa, Yame Dono. And no Epa. Sarah will cross na kware oba bi katura
o ware no ntie no na nya ware
okay enya ware dodo emfa se no nya ware dodo na yemra Isaac dem so ware ekrope na enhwe na sefo Jacob the way am so no nyame esi dono bra okọ ni wofa nchen kura na baby a oda ya atwede ifiri soro esi foma abofo edi afusani nyina mu nyame bɔhye a no ɔde ahye Abraham no ɔka ho asɛm de kyerɛ no sɛ daachi wɔde bɛma ne ma Abraham kɔ ware sɛ nyame Jacob kɔ nyame ka sɛ ware ba ko pɛ kɛde le ama no na nkanu anu no kɔ bɛka sɛ ya mamre mu no meja mamre mu no ye nya ne saa nti mo de kro na mame a me da mani akɔ but ye ka sɛ ɔnsom fie nson ne afa kro nka no no ɔtena ho ne nyina akyi ye san de bi san be pii no so ne mawa ɔsan gye nyame anka hwe sankofo ekura nenne omuni Juda abusuamu etire a chese ewiase nyina a Yesu Kristo efiri mu bai na se ne
so if you are also Roland Kwame Boyan also when it comes to stealing the Bible is so categorical that thou shalt not steal but when it comes to marrying more than one wife the Bible seems silent. Why? I think that is the very question that I'm also asking.
Yeah.
But yeah, the so Deuteronomy quickly. So for say, about to my can Deuteronomy, and then you explain that also. Deuteronomy 25.
Okay.
Nehemiah verse 5 to 7. Now
okay.
Share what the Bible also says there. So over to know what Shem or so.
25 5 to
25. Yes, 5 to 7.
I see. Na enuanom tena fa ko a. Na enuanom tena fa ko. Na womu baako ewu ena sorry na enuanom etena faako na wo mu baako ewu na oni ba owufo no eyire enko baabi enko ware ohoho ni kunu enua enko ne ho enware no na onye ekunu enua ayede ema no 6 ne ka ho
verse 6 no
na abakan a oba no ebewo no wonfa ni nua owu enu din ento no na ni din ampepa emfri Israel 7 na say okay
so in this case what was God trying to say?
All right.
So me name said that kind what you
say. Me the who ye no na say me wo yere.
Oh yeah.
Na me va.
Enya sa na Bible.
Me yere no ka wo
ye. Enya sa no ka. You are putting in something.
Okay, so
a higher directive say nyame de man say. So bi e ware. Na nipa ni ntumi an ne yere no anwo no wu a. Said ya be money pani din betena busua na mo no ye mani nua kuma enware no okay o ya mani nua berima to be precise enware no na one ne nwu no mfa ne nto no this is question here will be
so where the biano warrior
now now the issue of warrior and unwarrior. So let's take this, but there's a scenario in the Bible where this question, you know, you could be say Jesus Christ. On baby say Jesus Christ say. In this case, you know, bema ba akoware. Oba, oni oba no anwo. Oni oba no anwo na oba no ewu. Na bema no ewu. The second person you have out to me no ko we. On so ko ware no na anwo. Enuanom maako 7. Ena omo ware saa oba no. Omo nya obi ani oba no anwo. Ena enuanom nson nyina ewu. Ena omo bi say Jesus Christ say, "Si ye ko heaven a. Why ena oba ware oba no." Pharisees for because they wanted to use this to justify polygamy and to know yes in the mindset about polygamy. Yes, you catch it all and say, see a heaven, yeah, and worry or your bed is above for.
Okay.
But this very issue, we know, how could be say yes, Christ about this question, no. Say, are possible say, our real heaven, are possible say our real heaven. It will mean say obawe e wo kunu 7. Mebwa.
I don't get your scenario very well.
Because you were not listening.
I'm listening to you.
The same quotation
attentively.
Oma ye kan Deuteronomy. And none of Pharisee for no echo they just wanted to trick Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Into when you see the same scenario beside Jesus say obabi be man na ware. One na anwo. Into bema newu ni nuanom maako 7 ena ne na be ware o nyina obi ane na anwo no mwawu ye kwa heaven na hwan na be ware oba no na Jesus Christ say heaven aware ni ho ye be yeti say abofo no.
So Jesus did not even speak against whether what the woman would go through is sin or not.
No. Yesu otoaso e kire say ye ehonum na oka aware ho ansem o kire say emfitiase no nyame bo obema baako ni oba baako na maso odinti na Paul Moses ma aware jaye enwoma ni ade no. But what I'm just trying to say over here is say polygamy ni ya the papa if it is allowed. The question of going to ask Jesus Christ is say ye call heaven and why na be ni kunu is neither here nor there, because the woman also have the right to marry 7 men. This one. But because so many say polygamy nye ade papa nti, they went to Jesus Christ could be say and say why na be ni kunu. Jesus say heaven ho no krampo no ye nware ndanka ntumu bia koye polygamous e wo heaven ho ana say e wo we. So what I'm just trying to say is this issue no justify say polygamy nanka say nya de papa, and that is why Nyankopon will not even allow this thing to continue aware in heaven, because there have been people omaware yes,
whole aware no say
the whole aware no maso because of some of these challenges of people marrying more.
Really?
Yes.
King 2 Samuel 12, 7 to 10. Now, me assure say we'll be bringing our conversation to a close pretty shortly because our time is up. Those of you watching us, forgive us, but let's ask some 5 more minutes to wait and then we'll bring it to a close.
2 Samuel.
It is getting
2 Samuel 12.
2 Samuel 12.
Verse
from 7.
Okay.
From 7 to 10.
And I Nathan catch David say, when you obey man, say Radi Israel Yankopon see ni. Me na mesra wo enwo edu si Israel so hene. Na me yi wo Saul nsem. Na me de wo wura fie me ma wo. Na me de wo ewura eyerenom enso megu wo kukum.
Osede
O de ni wura yerenom, anya ni wura yere o. Ni wura yerenom. Esa egu ne kukum.
Oh God.
Wa fa hu ni nchem, wa fa hu bebia ne kukum. Mom yantie. Na me de Israel any Judah efie me mawo de o kan nyina so ye no kre dem say David na be di Israel so san ne me nyina so he had it ne sa kan nyina
and God is God speaking here.
Yeah, is God speaking there. He even said say so pe kora bo a enka mama obi aka
mame waza mame mfa wono to aso wo say na me de Israel any Judah fie me mawo na se esu a anka me de se ne se ebe kan wo ho se ma no kreso a ka be de kan
we ra wo kan no we if cross or si se ka obisa esu ana obisa bia it doesn't mean it was something na Yankopon aye ready so they can
also wrong. Why would God say somebody who right here no so egu kuku giving the
they dey America ho asemi krai sabe na David no go fa obi ade onkoji gold onko fa bibia na obi yire e no akohwim akoji afri ne nsem e na nyame ama na ne difo Nathan akọ ne nchen ekoyi ni nten it is so say nka wo hia bi mpo a onu nyame na ne boy yen emai varieties atenten they say bi ni nyina they ohia bi
that statement was made because one Yankopon is believed say the esi we abrabo nyame na de amaye and the first woman was succeed omo no mo yire no mo no ababa ye o yire no no definitely nyame na de amawo but it does not necessarily mean say nyame na man Solomon ekoware 7,000 700 ni empana for 300 you know
but say no dey onyame dey opena man
yes but if why did God even allow that to happen?
But there are quotations in the Bible am I ase say wo kofa oba fufuro aka oyire ho ana say wo fa aware do no enye who kind the Proverbs even 6:32 or see he who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself.
Adultery is not polygamy.
It is. Because Bible no can Yankopon say
ma worry me worry not me ne wo ba fofra me worry no etwempona.
What is that not worry now for we yire chi for ba fofro no what go against the Exodus chapter 20 verse 17 no I was say ema weni mbere onyonko fie ema wenye mbere onyonko yire anana koa anana funa anana fuma na bibia ye we no say uware a you are supposed to stay with your wife or your husband in at any point in time ko fa foforo be kan ya wo no ho a what go against the law of enyubre wafa beyond nyame di amount ena our say no nso no in Exodus chapter 20 no verse 7 no verse 12 no kono a oye we no emwadwaman no
who gave this laws?
Yankopon in Matthew chapter
God is it not saying God not say David you cry mede what nipa who be di omwade no omo yirenom nyina the same God speaking here. Was God contradicting himself?
God wasn't contradicting himself.
I'm asking.
Nathan went and narrated to David say,
was what Nathan said was it wrong?
Nyankopon ene de sa wama we si to me we wonya sa to me we ene ne awo nyina wode am including sa nkoko we no mu nyina. It does not necessarily mean say God approve of the wrong thing. And is in the Bible no, you were descriptive and prescriptive. Descriptive ni Bible no narrated the AC. Abrabo nipa no boy say yes enye no o ma ye huni so that we will take clue of the enye no na yankoye na ne ye ni o prescriptive anyankopon prescribe a chire nsem enye. One of the prescriptive in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 50. 18 or free from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commit is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body.
How is this one related to polygamy? It's
related because adultery. Nyankopon abo bema so onware obaba ko achase no Yesu se sana nyame ye no obema baako oba baako nti go beyond nyame ye no for extra one biara you are born against the law of God.
My time is up and the conversation is getting quite interesting, but we're starting to bring the whole conversation to a close. I'm sure that wherever you're watching us from, we're also enjoy Papa. But a minute each. Now, and so we're educating ourselves. Let me say that we're not here promoting, but we're here only to ask questions. Now, we're too much him as I share. And now, as a viewer, as a listener, also it's too now for a baby. Is if you may do my browser.
Yo, Kojo, Medasi. I'm saying, near Yakin, no, Trono, NC Sudia, Pote say, oh, I do I am from so. Because ye hum penifo a omni nyame nante Bible e kan pay say na omo nante tin wo nyame animu a omo yere nom na ebro baako a nyame anka ho hwe na medi etwa to no me de da me ka se wo hwe ewiase ba bi aduroi so hwe enkane Sodom and Gomorrah okenka Genesis 19 a se eya de papa Kanyame kontoja engu wonso. Okay. Nanso yehwe ne Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, enim penifo ayi ni won nyina ye aware. Nyame anka bibia amfa ho. Na Bible no kra san ma ya tese de kenkan wo Timothy nwuma metimi ansan hoyi. Wo se ohwefo na sen se wo ye obama obaba ko ekunu. Enye sa. Enti se ware dodo a me de tumi no ye Christopher nti ye hwehwe ye nkwaje na se de Yesu bae onante ye se Paul kredu ba bi no se be anka enye so no sanse na Paul no di yere enu nti ya gia tum se ye Christopher yi de ye be fa sa kwan so na mom se nkanye Christosum de a ka meka se awadodo de kanfum so bia ni ho
and I'm dodo wan nkwan
debi because emei bebre ahwe obi kura nka ware ahwe da no de akowo but aware so ade na nyame ni ko ho enema mienu na nyame te ho homeda na ware in the Garden of Eden ade no be wi aso me de me ware me nye kunu ware na obene nam ho na ne break
time nti ye we see here also for just a word to viewers that into me and sorry so as Christians we've been told say obey ye, let me speak for you at this point, you know. Obey ye there, you have a night so them rich my Paul showing there, you're not like Christo showing there, you're not so no na you into not you're concrete them on an unquainty. So
all along I was trying to liken adultery to polygamy. The word adultery, you know, so any root word, the etymology of it now is like adulteration. Adulterate. And when we say to be adulterated, that is to render something poorer of a quality. Inti no nyankopon ba ware one man one wife. Okay. Inti say who commit adultery, just we move away from the nyame ye no ware original one or the man. The case of Abraham no, who can Genesis chapter 30. Ubonu say nyankopon allow say ye be pam Hagar ni Ishmael. Even Genesis chapter 16 verse 6 and then chapter 20 verse 8 to 11 you know. And Bible no ma etias yes say won wa omo practice aya aware dodo no won fie asomdwe ama ho won fie ye basabasa won fie apart from that no so no assign your how any amanie ediba won ebusua mu ene oman emu eno nti no se ye hwe bible no a se ye call the original eya nyamede man obo be ma baako ni oba baako e wa aware mu ne nyankopon hwehwe se Solomon bo a ware bebre no o se mo ninje omranti bremu kunu ho ene obranti bremu yere ho in other words no de waware no baako no ono ena ma wani nje ono kura no ware bebre no realize say bebre ne nye nti yanko baako na aboa yen
baby shana no but my time cannot permit me to do so. It's been amazing. I must say we've learned a lot. Also for Daniel Armstrong Kuma, my guest, and Onyi Ejedu. They've all been amazing today. But I'm sure, as Ejedu said, Onam Christos Suminti, let us try to live the prescribed, life. I know that's one of the main. Mrs. Kojo Anderson, next week we'll be here. Now, to me, I have more conversations. Enjoy. Winifred will give us some good music, right? Nah, you too. Nah, yeah, that's a so we'll meet again next week. Enjoy, Winifred.
Do for